Forgive
Hello.
me while I finish eating.
I think you have a message here. Morgan.
A message, the chat. Hello. Hello, the chat. Brandon, please don't call me daddy.
Yeah, call him Zaddy.
I
Forgot
mean,
the
you can
Z.
do that. You
You
can if
forgot the Z.
you want. You can if you want. Hello, Brandon. Nice to see you in the chat. Though Kimber's here as well. Hello, Kimber. Steve's here and Marie's here.
Hello.
Yes. Hello, the chat. We're gonna have fun. It's gonna be exciting. Because we're talking Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, as we
Madness.
always
Yes.
seem to like to talk about MCU related things on live discussions on this It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel, don't we, Janine?
We do. I've seen it twice now. So yeah,
I
I've
only
seen
saw it
lots.
once. I had to wait.
I'm surprised you didn't get spoiled. You were in Italy at the time, so I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
Was that a big thing people were like buzzing about in Italy?
I mean, yes, it was obviously the big movie, as it was the big movie everywhere. I'm not eating cereal, no, I'm eating a rice bowl. I haven't eaten all day, so I only had a little bit of time in between streams right now where I could cook and actually
Eat.
eat.
Yeah, so you're lucky you didn't get spoiled. I got spoiled before I saw it. So someone had a
That is
lovely
horrible.
thumbnail on YouTube literally like 2 days before it came out of a certain
Before the movie came out, not
Yes,
even like the day.
I think it was the Thursday that the Thursday, technically Friday
That's
is the release
bad
day, but
though.
they do the early release on the Thursday. So and I wasn't seeing it until Saturday. So the Thursday that like it was released, somebody had a thumbnail of somebody fantastic. So I kind of knew.
Really,
And then
really.
on TikTok, someone had a very quick like spoiler warning before, and I wasn't looking at my phone at the time. Like I had it just going, and I looked at my TV, and then when I looked back down, the video was like that whole scene
That's
with
ridiculous.
the
That is
all the surprise
ridiculous.
guests. So
Why would somebody post that out on YouTube
that was
before the
literally the
wide release of the
Thursday. That
movie?
was on the Thursday. So that Thursday before I saw it on Saturday, it was already kind of spoiled. So so you're
Brandon says
lucky,
that
Brandon.
he managed to avoid spoilers. The only things that were spoiled for him were from the trailers, which admittedly
Yeah, essentially.
did have kind of a fairly significant, at least vocal cameo in those trailers, wasn't there really? It would have been quite exciting
Yeah.
to not know that particular gentleman was in the movie.
Yes. Did you think Sinister Strange was kind of spoiled? Would you have preferred something like that to be a surprise?
I you know what? Yes, actually, I would have preferred that to have been interesting because there certainly was things from What If that were in
Yeah.
this movie. And of course, Sinister Strange or Evil Strange or whatever you want to call him is from, or at least the first time we ever saw him was in What If, wasn't it? So, yeah, I mean, we are getting in full spoiler territory right now. There's literally
Yeah.
the title of this video. It's
Yes.
on the thumbnail. Our thumbnail doesn't have a spoiler on it, but
Yes,
there
because
is
we're
plenty.
nice like that.
It is an entirely spoiler-filled discussion on Multiverse of Madness. We will go with the chat. We will go with some chat questions, chat topics. Should the
Yes.
chat want to do that? Kimber wants a multiverse mukbang. Is that what I'm doing right now by
Yeah.
eating this?
So overall though, what were your thoughts on this movie? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Were you kind of indifferent? Were you
It would be very unfair to say that I didn't like the movie. I did. I had an awful lot of fun with the movie. I do felt at times it was quite rushed, actually, though, which is unusual.
Yeah.
And unusual for an MCU thing for it to feel like it's all happening a little bit too quickly. But there was times in this movie where I felt that it was a shorter runtime than the majority of MCU, even if it was just by like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I felt that.
I liked it overall. Um, I liked that it was a MCU horror movie in the way that Ant-Man was an MCU heist movie. That is
Yes,
kind of,
absolutely.
obviously it's affected by kind of outer MCU things, but it still felt like its own situation.
It did. It
You
it, it was as Kimber says. Sam Raimi rules. She loved it. It was an incredibly Raimi movie. You
Yeah.
had shots in there that you could recognize from all the way back in Evil Dead. Some of them, some
Yeah.
things. Even there were times when, even let's call it what it is, cut up Wanda kind of walking through the thing barefoot felt a little bit Evil Dead to me.
Yes, her like coming out of that gong and like
Her coming
very
out of
kind of
that thing,
disjointed,
there was a hand coming up and doing
and
this.
seeing her eye in reflections, and yeah, it felt
Exactly.
very kind of,
Full
you know.
zombie Strange might as well have been a Deadite the way he was moving.
Yeah. But I thought stuff like that
It
was
was
fun.
it was all kind of very like you were half expecting them to start really aggressively swearing, and if there was a tree involved, then we go completely the opposite direction, and it turns into something far from what the MCU want to do.
Yeah. Brandon's talking about Mr. Fantastic.
Ah,
I'm a little surprised they went more the fan casting route than the, you know,
do you know what?
OG
So am I.
Fantastic Four
So am
route.
I.
Since,
Like,
they brought back, Anson Mount from the uh awful Inhuman show that like nobody liked.
massively failure of an Inhuman show.
Yes, but they still kept the same guy. So I thought that too, that it would be, if Mr. Fantastic was in this, they would bring that version of him and then maybe save the John Krasinski fan casting for the actual Fantastic Four movie that they've announced.
Yes, that is almost how I think about it as well. It felt, I suppose, a lot of our spoiler discussion kind of comes from that one particular sequence as well. Of,
Yeah.
the Illuminati sequence
Yeah.
in the movie. It's strange. Ha, funny. It is strange though. It just felt strange how that whole sequence, right? We've all seen the movie. People who are watching this have seen the movie. I don't
Yeah.
think we need to give particular intricate plot details.
Of
We
the
are familiar
Illuminati
with the
scene,
movie.
yes.
But that particular scene, Strange is brought into, the other world. It's the other world. Christine, Rachel McAdams is there, brings him into the Illuminati. We'll see you now. And
Yes.
Mordo's there. I like Chiwetel Ejiofor. Oh my god, the power in the man's voice is just unbelievable.
Yes.
I love his
He has
voice
a great
so
voice.
much. And it was nice to see Chiwetel back actually in the MCU.
I know, like, you
Because
kind of forget about him, like, he had this whole
yeah,
big mission, and then we just never heard from him again,
we
you
don't.
know?
It was, even if it was, the other worlds, the other universes, Mordo. Even if it wasn't, the main, or as it's officially called, 616 now, which I know comes
Yeah,
directly
so
from comic books.
lucky guess from Mysterio too, because he just made that up at the time he said that.
Did he? Did
Yes.
Mysterio? Was that a
Yes, he said
Mysterio
he
thing?
was from, well, Brandon should know these numbers pretty well by now because he got this question in a
Oh,
showdown
I
match.
see.
Yeah, he says what his universe is called and says that the MCU universe is 616, but he was just making all that shit up.
Oh,
So
well, yes, he was,
he,
wasn't he? He was a liar,
yeah, yeah. So he just
Mysterio.
guessed pretty accurately what it's called. So,
Okay.
um,
Mysterio claims to be from 833.
yes,
There you go. Have we been to 83? Is 833 the Paint universe? That's what I want to know. Eh? Which number's the Paint universe from this movie?
yeah. Brandon wants to go to the dinosaur universe, I'm sure.
The dinosaur universe, yes. The cartoon universe.
Yeah, they had a black and white one too. I'm sure that's where you'd be headed.
They did. They did have
Yeah.
a black and white one. Kimber says, I love the Marvel era of them giving me several versions of hot people. 3 Oscar Isaacs, 3 Benedict Cumberbatches, 3 Wonders. I mean, it's a fair point.
Yeah, I'd love to go
It's a
there
very,
too.
very fair point. I will
Um,
agree with you. Oscar Isaac does have a particular allure to him as me being not, you know, sexually orientated in such a way where I am attracted in that capacity to men. I can see it with Oscar Isaac
yeah.
massively,
Yeah. Um,
massively.
with the Illuminati scene, I did like it made not a lot of sense, but I mean, I don't think
It
it's
didn't. It
supposed
didn't
to.
make a damn sense. It didn't
Um,
make a damn little bit of sense.
best music cue in movie history when Professor X came out. And it wasn't like any old version of Professor X, it was 1997 animated series Professor X. So like
Which
yeah,
just
when he
felt
came
strange
out,
to me.
yes, it was very odd that it was the cartoon version. He's wearing the green suit that he always wore, the blue striped tie, that ridiculous fucking wheelchair. So cumbersome and bulky and ridiculous looking.
Look,
Um
we
yes,
were speaking about the Illuminati, but you
but
have
yes.
you have that universe's Mordo. We know Mordo. That's fine. You have Black Bolt. We've seen it was a thing. Anson Mount as Black Bolt was a thing. It
Yeah,
was actually quite. I never watched that Inhuman show,
no,
but
me
it was
either.
nice to see that little bit
But they've
of
kept the
reference happen.
casting there. Yeah.
You had Captain Carter, straight from What If. I thought that was great. I thought that was almost my kind of favourite one of them all. Was
Yeah.
the fact that we got Captain Carter, who felt more like I suppose, more like a legitimate full character of that particular
Yeah.
set of people. You got Maria as Captain Marvel,
Yeah, because
which I
that is a
like as a
thing that
little bit of a
happened.
switch up
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
Makes perfect sense. Then you get Krasinski, who, at least the other ones that had been announced up to that point within the movie, because we hadn't even got Charles yet at that point. That came like a minute later.
Yeah.
But up at that point, get okay, somewhat established character from prior things, somewhat established character from prior things, somewhat established character from prior things, and then here is John Krasinski as Reed Richards, somebody who nobody in the MCU has any concept of,
Concept of. Yeah. Oh, my
but it's
brother's here.
treated.
Yes.
Hello,
I just yes, the
Christine's ugly
when he
wedding dress.
came out was so good. I geeked out really hard. Even though that wheelchair, it was cool to see that wheelchair in like real tangible life, but it
Mm,
still was stupid looking.
yeah,
Yes, that the wedding dress was she's a brave woman. Like when she ordered red wine, I was very scared for
yeah.
her.
I mean, I know I drink red wine sometimes wearing this turtleneck,
Yes, you brave,
and it's
brave soul.
dangerous. It is dangerous.
um,
But
but yeah, everyone else was kind of somewhat established except for those two. So
and they obviously treat it like the movie treats it as a big deal. It almost feels like it's got applause time afterwards, for
well,
the
yeah.
people watching the movie to go, "Yay, Reed Richards!" But nobody in the MCU universe has any concept of who Reed Richards is, and it just felt weird to me how the rest of them were like, we half know them, and then you just have this seemingly completely random guy, which is just my favorite thing because Doctor Strange treats him as just, who
Yeah,
the
he's like,
hell are
"Oh, well, didn't you
you?
guys chart in the 70s or something?" He says.
Yeah,
But yeah, and they introduce him as like the world's smartest man. So
which yes, and I all understand. Of course, I am fully understanding of who Reed Richards is and all that, but I do agree with you that had they put, I always get the
yeah,
Welsh guy who played him.
I
I
saw an
never
interview where
pronounce
he
his name
he
properly.
said how to pronounce it, and it's nothing like how it's spelled. I always called him Yoan Grufford, but that's not even how you say
I
it.
think, yeah,
So
is it not like closer to Griffith
yes, it's like
or
Ian
something like
Griffith
that?
it's like Ian Griffith, but it's spelled insane. Um, yeah,
The
I mean,
Welsh guy who plays Mr. Fantastic. It
I
would have.
don't hate those movies. I enjoy them because pretty much all those movies in the early era of superhero movies, I geeked out about and got excited about, even though they're terrible, because it was just cool to finally see superhero movies, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, like the Daredevils, the Fantastic Fours, I have a strange place in my heart for those movies. So
Stop it, Justin Square in the chat. Terry Silver
he's so
smarter than
smarter
Reed
than Reed
Richards. You can
Richards.
stop bringing up
He is
Terry
just,
Silver
yeah,
right now.
he really is just trying to get to you because he knows how much you hate Cobra Kai / Karate Kid's Terry Silver. Um,
Terry Silver will have absolutely no conversation parts
oh,
in this.
Tom
Hello,
certified.
Tom's here as well.
Um,
Oh, but yeah, no, it would have felt more, like you said, almost more appropriate to have Ian Griffith play a cameo of Reed Richards
and then
than it
bring
would
John
who
Krasinski.
everybody has been clamoring to be Reed Richards, just to have him unceremoniously killed by Wanda
Turned into
3 minutes later.
turned into mom spaghetti. Yeah.
You know,
How did you feel about that kind of horror-fueled murdering of these people?
look, I'm into it. I'm into it. I'm into anything that bigs something up and then just cuts people back down and said, no, it wasn't actually
No.
that important at all.
But Black Bolt, oh my gosh. Like, you actually see the chunks of his brain
Yeah, it's
just, like,
nasty.
slide down the side of his mask, inside his mask. So good.
People as well. People going on about, oh, it's such a boundary pushing PG-13 movie. No, it
Oh
isn't.
my gosh, Kimber.
No, it isn't. Head confetti, mom
Mom
spaghetti.
spaghetti, so good.
Perfect. Perfect. It's not. Tom here says this is clearly the Illuminati of recasting. John Kay is most likely going to direct Fantastic Four. Get the fan
Yeah, he
casting out of
wants
the way.
to.
That's not a bad call.
He has said he's wanted to, and, you know, of course, everyone wants Emily to play Mrs. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, they were up for Black Widow and Captain America, you know, early on. They
You know what?
auditioned for those parts, so
Marie says the Illuminati battle sequence was amazing. I
I
very,
loved
very
it.
much
I
did.
thought it was so
I
cool,
really
and
did.
she comes in covered in the, Ultron Sentry oil, because, you know, you can't have her be completely bloody, and
No,
she
but
just looks
they did do as much as they could. Oh,
yes, and
Sam
she's
Raimi.
just barefoot
Sam Raimi did
and
as much as he could.
just yeah. So, and I think a lot of people in that scene also are kind of saying that's, how can Wanda be redeemed? Like WandaVision, that ending was supposed to redeem her, and like now she's just like this cold-blooded murderer, and so people are kind of saying that's an injustice to the character. I mean, I
Yeah,
thought
but
it worked. I thought it worked because I mean,
I thought it worked.
not only does she have kind of this single-minded kind of vision, and she's already kind of given several warnings, like just don't get in my way, and this
Yeah, we
wouldn't
know, and
happen.
we
And she's
saw how
also
extreme she could be in a manipulative sense in WandaVision.
yes, and even in an unconscious sense. So now that
Yeah,
she's aware of it, and the Darkhold is kind of also affecting her and taking her to this extreme as well, and
yeah,
heightening these
she's
kind
gonna
of
go that
negative
step
feelings.
further.
She's gonna go that step, especially since she feels like she gave enough warning that like just stay out of
Yeah,
my way and you'll be fine.
yeah.
And they refused. So I think she kind of justifies it in her mind. But I think a lot of people, I saw a lot of kind of takes on people really kind of not liking that turn for her.
Kimber says Wanda makes me cry. She has those big sad eyes, and Raimi shoots her teal. I really like Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda. I really like Wanda.
Oh,
I
I
think
don't think I noticed that.
she's been able. Black Bolt's death was gross, but if you watch Professor X, she doesn't snap his neck, but actually tears his head apart.
Uh,
I
which
didn't notice that. I did think she actually snapped his neck.
just snapped
but,
his neck, which that I know we had a little bit of a conversation about that scene.
look,
So we have just watched all
I
the Star
haven't
Trek.
even said how much I kind of loved seeing Patrick Stewart play Charles Xavier, but how absolutely weird it was that he wasn't actually playing his own version of Charles
And how
Xavier.
many
He was
times are
playing
they
the
going to
animated
kill
one.
this man? How many times are they going to kill this poor man? But also, I mean, when he was trying to pull Wanda out of that hole in her mind, like he looked so weak and he looked really old. Like
He
Patrick
was
Stewart has
playing
never looked that old, but he looked kind of old trying to pull her out. And then Just like, I know we made that comparison. We've just watched all the Star Trek films for Morgan hasn't seen, and we talked about the moment where he gets in Generations, where he gets he tries to like squeeze through this little hole in some rocks, and the rocks fall on him, and he just gets stuck, and he's like, "Ugh," like flailing around. Him pulling her out of that hole felt very similar to him
It
flailing in
did
the
remind
rocks.
me. It entirely reminded me of that
I'm
scene in Star
sorry.
Trek
I'm sorry.
Generations. It did, but Tom is exactly right in the chat. I was very happy to see Patrick Stewart wearing what was a beautiful black turtleneck.
Yes, Morgan loves a good
He did
turtleneck.
look frail.
He did. He looked so
No,
frail.
I hope you're not saying I look frail. I don't look.
In his
Do I look
turtleneck.
frail? I don't look frail in this
No.
turtleneck.
And he never looks old like that, but he just is finally starting to kind of, I don't know. I felt that.
If we're being honest, Patrick Stewart is getting old.
He is. I mean, he was 40
He has
when he
every
was in
reason
Star
to
Trek.
look old.
Yes. But him trying to pull somebody out of somewhere, it just looked very feeble and frail.
It looked like De Niro in The Irishman when he's trying to beat up that one dude. And he's just kind of really weakly stamping his foot.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. Or
all
when
that energy's going into
Sam
punch.
Jackson's trying to run in Captain Marvel.
Exactly.
But yes, I liked that scene. I loved the horror aspect of it. Like, she cut Captain Marvel or Captain Carter in half, like with her
Right.
shield.
Raimi put Raimiisms in the movie. I can only imagine Sam Raimi was constantly going, but Kevin, are you sure we can't see some gore?
My brother thinks he looks
Please,
like
can I
a
put some in?
total Chad.
I feel like that's also offensive. Is it offensive? No, it's probably not offensive.
But
Someone
yes.
says Dev Patel for Reed Richards. I don't hate that.
Oh,
Don't hate
okay.
that. I like Dev Patel.
Brandon asked how many times we have to see Professor X.
pretty much.
Much, yeah. Or the amount of times we have to see Uncle Ben die as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for this
Silly
iteration for not showing us Uncle Ben's stuff yet again.
Yeah. But we saw May's death instead, so.
Yes. So
you forget that happened. That was sad, wasn't it? I forgot that happened until I just remembered it right then.
Terrible.
Oh, May. Janine, so much has happened in the MCU in the space of about 6 months.
I know, with the shows and everything else. Yeah, so I think that scene was definitely just really cool, like just subverting expectations with you have all these big characters introduced just for Wanda to murder them all in brutal ways, which was actually kind of fun. Also, like that the ladies survived longer than the guys. They were just taken out real quick, and you actually got a little bit of back and forth battle with the other two ladies. I think a lot of people are not happy that Captain Marvel got crushed by a statue. She probably warranted a more interesting death than that, but
well, perhaps.
Bye, bro. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for popping in. Thank you very much. Thank you for complimenting me.
Yeah, chat.
With great power comes dead relatives. You are quite right there. I love that. But yeah, look, it still, because it was obviously this alternate universe as well, that whole scene, it still gives the option for those people to still play those characters, doesn't it? Because you just, now that we have opened multiverses up,
we can see them
can die,
in
but then you just get another version
from a different universe. Yeah.
Which sometimes people view as, ruining stakes or what have you, and you understand that argument is just like, oh no, Spider-Man's dead. Well, let's just go and get the other one.
Yeah, from another place. Well, speaking of that, kind of just plucking people from other universes and replacing them with others. I've seen lots of takes of like, why couldn't Wanda just recreate her children rather than trying to take children from another universe? Is that a possible thing that they've kind of established could have happened? Or
What, as
is it just
in?
like you have a one-off that you create your children, you can't do it again, so now your only option is to go find kids from another universe?
Well, possibly, because ultimately that's what WandaVision was, wasn't it? Is that she did
Yeah.
actually, in her own mind, create the children,
Yeah,
and it was her own mind.
doing that.
It's
Yeah.
essentially the same thing as what Mark Mark Spector was doing in Moon Knight. He's just creating other people to cope with something,
Yeah.
which is what Wanda was doing. So whether it is a case of I've tried that and look how Westview went. Also, where was Catherine Hahn? I was half expecting Agatha to turn up in this
Well, I mean,
movie.
she's trapped her in this in her mind of being,
But
she kind
multiverses, Janine.
oh yeah. I mean, there could be multiverses, Agathas.
I just want
Um,
Agatha back. I like
you
Agatha.
just wanted her to turn up in the end credits and be like, "It was Agatha all along."
Well, it would have
But
made a
she
little
just
bit more
did the
sense to
whole
me than rather than Charlize Theron turning up in the end credits to just be like, "Oh, there's Charlize Theron. What relevance do you have to anything?" Apparently, she's
Yeah,
supposed to be some sort of
I
other
believe she's the
magic
niece of
user.
Dormammu, and she is
How
the
am I
source.
supposed to know
She's
that?
the sorcerer supreme of the dark realm. Which, yes, that was definitely stuff I had to look up. So
Well,
I'm
yeah,
not
like
any kind of
she
comic
just turned up
genius
as
here.
like, "Come with me, Doctor Strange." And she was like, "Yeah, sure." Like, why? Why is Doctor Strange? It's almost as stupid as that Harry Styles one at the end of Eternals that made no sense. I'm Thanos' brother. No, you're not. You're not purple and huge. You look like Harry Styles. Get out. Silly mid-credit sequences that we're having in MCU movies at the minute.
Yeah.
Tom, of
um.
course, you know exactly
Of
who
course,
she is, but I had
Yes.
no
Yes.
idea, did I?
I had to be, uh, schooled on that. I had to go look it up. Um. Oh, okay. So she's the current sorcerer supreme. Um. But yes, and she's a love interest, I'm told. So that's kind of why they had to tie up all the Christine stuff so that he could kind of move forward.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Thanos looks like that because of the deviant gene. Okay,
Um,
that makes
I
sense.
also saw a lot of debate about um America being kind of like a MacGuffin houseplant character and not really being interesting outside of being a MacGuffin.
We are not talking about the country. We are talking about the character, America Chavez,
Yes.
who is what's her superhero name supposed to be? That'll be an answer that Tom can give, surely.
Yeah.
But not as silly as a giant ant playing drums. That at least fit with the movie. That at least made sense. You had giant ants in Ant-Man. You didn't have Charlize Theron in the rest of this movie.
Yeah, that's true.
America's two continents. Stop being geographically accurate.
Yes. I liked the character as kind of a teenage girl, just like being scared and not being able to figure
So
things
did
out.
I.
But yeah, I see a lot of people kind of talking about how she was just kind of like, there was nothing more to her than just to be a MacGuffin.
Well, look, I think it was just the fact that the entire plot of the movie was basically just a keep her safe kind of situation.
Yeah. So and
So
like that she did.
she is absolutely central to the plot. So I just think maybe that take comes from her being the integral character to how the actual story of the movie played out.
Yeah,
Because I
but I
certainly think she felt like a rounded character to me.
and
She
she had
felt
an
like somebody
arc.
I want to see more of.
She had something she was trying to work through. I mean, she had this
Yeah,
power, she doesn't know how to use it. People are trying to take it from her because she doesn't know how to use it, so she's kind of thinks it's her fault on top of blaming herself for her parents getting lost. And she's just a teenager, so it's kind of a lot to take on and deal with. The first strange we see her with betrays her, so
yeah.
I feel like they gave her
Ponytail Strange.
yes, I think they gave her enough external conflicts that she has to work through to make her more than a MacGuffin. So yes, she is kind of a
Exactly.
MacGuffin of a character, but I think they gave her enough extra stuff to make her relatable and you kind of care about her. So, yeah, I don't know. I saw a lot of that take, and I was kind of like,
Aye, aye.
I don't quite see it that way. But I mean, I guess if you're just kind of go to the bare bones of it, but I think they gave you enough other stuff that you could really kind of like her. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and I think, and then also kind of that final speech Strange gives her, um, I thought it worked because I feel like, in my mind, when I saw him kind of see that page that has the star on it kind of burn up, I feel like he saw enough of the page to kind of know what he needed to tell her. So he kind of knew what to do at that point.
Yeah.
So it didn't just feel like, okay, give her a pep talk and she's fine. All of a sudden
It
she
was
can
zombie
use.
strange as well. I just like how it was
Yeah, so
zombie
that felt
strange.
very Raimi, that it was just like drooly, half-faced zombie Strange giving her this very kind of emotional pep talk.
I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
Tom says, let's not pretend the arc reactor Thor's powers are, etc. are McGuffins. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's just in kind of what the movie's about.
Yeah, it kind of drives the plot, which I like, and I liked the opening that we kind of jump into the action right away.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there was at one point. I mean, maybe this is me being silly, but there's one point I just thought, "Ooh, Benedict's got a ponytail in this movie."
You
No,
got
he
me
hasn't.
excited. No, it
It
was
was
just a
other
very indie
version.
version. Yes.
The zombie pep talk was weird and funny. Yes, it was very
Yes, it felt very Raimi, because
appropriate.
after I watched this movie, I watched Drag Me to Hell for the first time, and
Ooh,
there's a
okay.
lot of, like, weird, gross out things that are played comedically in a weird way, and so it just definitely felt inherent
Yeah.
to his style,
It,
you know?
it fit tonally. It was such a very, very well balanced movie.
Yeah, and you can always
It
go back to that director, "No, okay, this is Raimi, that's why this is not doesn't feel completely MCU," you know?
exactly like you said before, it was a true MCU weird horror movie, much like Ant-Man is an MCU heist movie.
Yes.
It fits in its own little genre, which is what it's what you want it to, and certainly what some MCU movies don't necessarily. They just feel like, oh, here is an MCU movie. Spider-Man No Way Home, as much as everybody enjoyed it, it was an MCU movie. It wasn't
Yeah.
a genre, really. It was it. It was just a superhero movie. But this was very much of its own
Its own kind of
fun
thing.
little genre.
Yes, and
Definitely.
I think Benedict Cumberbatch has finally found the balance of how to play Doctor Strange. I think it was
It's taken
maybe a
him
little.
6 years.
Yeah, it's taken him a minute because, like, I was not a huge fan of Doctor Strange, even kind of in rewatching it before watching this movie. Like, it's on the lower end for me. I just can't get behind it. Like, I want to see redeemable things in the character, and while he does kind of have a redeemable change, the charisma that I know Benedict Cumberbatch to have, um, he still feels kind of cold. He still doesn't feel as,
Yeah.
like, as um redemptively charismatic as, like, Tony Stark, you know?
Yeah. I think,
He's still
Tony Stark
well,
was
for
one
you,
on his own, wasn't he, really?
yes, he still feels very kind of cold and serious, so that which makes him
Yeah.
kind of boring. So, yeah, I think after kind of Spider-Man and now this movie, he's finally found a balance between kind of bringing a little bit of comedic flair and charisma and kindness to this character. And I like that
I
they
think all appearances are just doing Doctor Strange favors because it's
yeah.
allowing Benedict to do more different things with it. Maybe in that first movie he was kind of focused on playing very, very arrogant most of the time, and then it was only really tiny little bit parts in Infinity War and an Endgame that you got of him, that it was really only what was he doing for the plot kind of situation.
Yeah, so I like that we
Now we
actually
are
kind
getting
of
much
get more
more character with it.
personality. Yes. And I like just the little kind of added back history that we got, which can kind of inform his character when you kind of go back. When he meets kind of the evil Strange, and they talk about, he needs the proof to know that either they're kind of the same person, and they talk about the sister that passed away that they couldn't
Yeah,
save. So that kind of informs like a lot about him. Like he maybe became a doctor to save lives, and he's such a perfectionist about it because of that failure. He's kind of
yeah,
closed off and doesn't really let himself get close to people because of that failure. Um, he is able to kind of form this bond, and you can trust this version of Strange to help America because of that situation with his sister. So I like that they
yeah,
threw that in there to kind of just inform him when you go back and look at old stuff with him and him in this moment, and why he's seemingly so kind of concerned with saving America and helping her, as opposed to like taking her power or anything like that.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. In the chat, we have Marie saying previous outings for Strange felt like Sherlock to me, but and agree that the charisma is coming out more. It absolutely is. Justin
Yeah.
Square says he feels like Doctor Strange has come a long way from his first movie, where the Ancient One told him moments before death that it's not about you, to where we see Doctor Strange today. Exactly, he is very much selfless, far more selfless, far more willing to do what's best for everybody, not just himself. He's willing to,
Yeah.
sacrifice himself to a certain degree,
And I
which
think that also
isn't
kind of
something
started
we
with,
saw in that first movie.
and it also kind of was a thing with Peter as well, like him doing
Yeah,
this whole kind of spell just to help Peter. And
yeah,
I think that's also kind of an academic thing as well. Like, he's a doctor. He went to school. He knows the importance of college and university, and an intelligent mind. So he's willing to do that to help Peter because of that kind of related
yeah,
aspect of academia and education importance. So I think that kind
yeah.
of opened him up even more to that sensitivity to people, and kind of the bigger picture of just helping others. And then that kind of is driving more and more as we see the character. So I liked that, because yeah, even after his first movie, even though he had like that bit of a redemption, he still felt very kind of cold to me. And obviously he was kind of still very cold in the Avengers films, because yeah,
Yes, he
he
was.
was playing to the plot and the purpose, and had to be kind of cold on what that meant, because it's for the greater good type situation. So he had to be a little bit cold in that aspect. So yeah, I think No Way Home and then this movie, he's really kind of building up some goodwill, and you're really seeing a more sensitive character.
Yeah, Kimber said his accent was getting better as well, Benedict. So that's always a positive.
Yeah.
That's always a positive. I like that. Hello, Byford Hobbit in the chat.
Oh, hello.
I like the name. I like the Hobbit. Byford, Bofer, Bomber. Where's Bofer and Bomber? That's my question. Where are they?
Brandon says, my favorite moment in the movie is when Zombie Strange passes the knife and lets America go, and he tells her, now go kick that witch's ass, and he winks at her. Perfect character moment. Yes, I liked that too. Yeah, like I think I saw some complaints about that, because it was just like he's giving this sensitive speech, and it's just this weird zombie thing telling her. I thought it was very perfectly Raimi.
That's what
I
it's
thought it was
supposed to be.
fun, and it
People
still
aren't
felt
supposed to
emotional,
take these
even
things.
though it was coming from this kind of creepy character. It still felt emotional to me. So
Ori, Dori, Nori, and Thorin are here as well, apparently, according to Byford.
yeah.
They're all here. All the hobbits. All the 13 hobbits will be
Yeah.
here at some point. I like that. I'm going to get a knock on the door in a minute. Somebody's put, Gandalf's put a mark on my door here. This
Adore.
isn't about
You're gonna have to
the
go on an
Hobbit at all, but
unexpected journey.
I was taken by Byfer in the chat. I was, just for a little bit. Brandon also says only Raimi can make something scary and heartwarming at the same time. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what the majority of this movie is. It's supposed to be weird. It's supposed to have twinges of horror, but
Yeah.
keep its heart. And people, if people don't like that, I think people are taking it too seriously. If people don't like that moment of now let's go kick that witch's ass because, oh, after all this big heartfelt speech, like, how serious do you want every movie you watch? Have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
It means the same,
I still got the emotion out of that, especially knowing who was making this movie, and I thought it worked.
I
I
am
thought it
very
was a
much
really
Bilbo Baggins, by the way, Kimber. Yes, I am
oh my
exactly
gosh.
Bilbo Baggins. 100%. But yeah, I tonally, I faultless. You know, I can't find fault with this movie at all from a
Yes.
tonal point. As far as the story of it, kind of what happened, I was a little bit unsure about certain things, but not in the sense that, oh, why have they done that? Just kind of like, oh, I'm going to need a bit more to want to understand fully what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about the weird third eye thing. What's
Yeah.
that about? I don't
Um,
get it.
it's, like, explained as kind of a consequence for, using the Darkhold and dream walking.
But
I
it doesn't
guess
seem like it doesn't. Is it a consequence though? Because it now in that mid-credit scene just seems like something he
he's
has.
embraced it and now he, like, knows how to use it and he's gonna use it for good, I guess, right?
But
But
does it allow him? Tom will know this.
yeah,
Does
Tom
it
explain.
allow him to see into other universes there and then? Is that what it is? That kind of a situation of what it is? Because it just felt a little bit. I wish I wish I knew a bit more about that. Because obviously, kind of Evil Strange had it. Or did Evil
Yeah.
Strange have it?
Yeah, he did.
Or Evil
He
Strange did have it.
he
Evil
did.
Strange. And
Cause yeah, when
also,
he falls out the window, he, like Christine goes and looks at him and, like, the eye
oh
opens
yes,
up.
that's right. Evil Strange says in the trailer. What does he say in the trailer? That like it's played in every single trailer. I can't remember the line now, but he doesn't actually say it in the movie.
What?
Things have now got out of hand or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's the GIF I've been using to promote
It's not
this.
even in the movie. That line is not
Yeah.
in the movie. Evil Strange does not say that line in the movie. I'm calling him Evil Strange. He doesn't do a great deal evil in this movie. He's just a bit depressed as he was in What If, isn't he?
And kind of
He's
consumed by the
actually,
Darkhold.
yeah, he
Um,
doesn't actually do anything
but, like, if you
necessarily
see all
evil.
those bones and bodies outside of the sanctum, like, he obviously
That's
maybe
just
people
because he's
people
killed
probably
people.
well, yeah, so he hasn't done anything evil. That's
Not
just
in
because
the
he's
movie. That
killed
was
people.
previously.
Okay, okay. Um, I liked that fight though between the two of them, that musical battle with the notes. I thought that was fun.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up because it reminded me of something. Kimber says, "Open your eye," the ancient one said while touching the center of Strange's forehead.
Yeah.
Okay then. Okay, I had
True.
forgotten about that. Fair enough. And Tom says early comics usually depicted Strange with a third eye when using his powers, but recently he uses it during incursions. It's a dark power up, but not as bad as Black Fingers or Fingies, as Thomas. Okay, I get that then. That makes
Okay.
sense.
Oh, and Brandon
Uh,
also clarifies
Brandon
something.
says Reed Richards says that their Strange told them things got out of hand, so maybe they thought that line would be redundant. Yes, I would have liked it there. I would have liked it there as well because it just seemed like I don't like it when trailers have something so that's played in every. Where is that in that trailer? Where is it in the movie? Then
In the
I'm
movie,
waiting for
yeah.
it. I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, did you just
Oh,
Google
Evil
this for the
Strange is dead
trailer?
now. It's not there.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Yeah, I liked that battle. I have also kind of seen people complaining about him and Christine, like it wasn't really set up to be this great love. So did you really feel anything from that whole relationship?
He
And
Christine is his love interest though. I think that's all you need for that
I mean, if you
story in
watched
this
What
movie to
If,
actually work.
watch What If, like he destroys several universes just to kind of find one where she doesn't die.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I
I
think you get
I
enough.
I I don't agree with um anyone saying that it felt meaningless or anything like that because in that first movie she is his love interest. That is the purpose, basically, of her. It's kind of somewhat underwritten, I suppose, but that is ultimately who Christine is. In that
Yeah,
first movie,
exactly.
and generally, I
I
love you in
loved
every
that
unit.
one.
Exactly,
Yes. Like, you still felt that. Even though we
exactly. You
haven't
did
gotten,
feel
like,
that.
a ton of time with them, because I think it's just for most people, if they didn't watch What If, the last time you saw them in any iteration, last time you saw Christine was when that movie came out, however many years ago. It was, like, 6 years ago?
Yeah, it
Something
was
like that?
2016, I think.
Yeah, so I think if you are kind of just sitting on 6 years ago and then jump into this movie, it's gonna
Yeah,
feel like not enough has been established, but if you watch, I watched Doctor Strange just before seeing it, so I saw the that relationship, and I watched What If, so that kind of added to it as well, so I didn't feel like it was a hollow thing, the 2 of them kind of,
not at all. Not at
having that
all.
moment and her being mentioned and him asking, and other people asking him, "Did you end up with her in this universe? Did you end up
Yeah,
with her in that universe?" And even getting to see that memory lane, the scene where she gets the watch, that watch is such an iconic thing for him. We see it several times, it's referenced several times. And
yeah.
so seeing how he got the watch from her, I think added to that as well. So yeah, I mean, I don't
It really did.
yeah, I'm definitely seeing a lot about that relationship not being fleshed out enough to care, but I was able to care about it, so
Kimber says, "Haven't we all loved someone who it just doesn't work with?" Kimber, don't try and bring the room down, please. But
Are
quite
you giving
possibly,
Morgan
yes.
flashbacks?
That is quite possibly, yes. That is potentially true for literally probably everybody at some
Everyone.
point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is. It did feel meaningful to me, and I did feel it. Look, I'm not going to say Christine and Stephen Strange are my favorite MCU couple or anything like that,
Yeah.
but they still matter to each other.
Yeah.
So you still feel what they are going for in that particular scene. I did want to go. Well, I saw some things of saying that we should have had um, Christine go to an alternate universe where it was Mean Girls and the Dark Code was called the Burn Book, and I just found that quite
Oh
funny.
my gosh. That's hilarious.
Because you can just imagine. Oh no, we're in Mean Girls all of a
The
sudden,
Mean
just for
Girls
like
universe.
just one of those little transition universes where they're going through the dinosaurs and the paint and the black and white and all that business.
And Mean
Just one
Girls,
of them
yeah.
to just be Mean Girls and Rachel McAdams to just be there with
Which
the
I
burn
will
book.
say though, I mean, with the title being Multiverse of Madness, I thought there was gonna be maybe a little bit more multiverse jumping than there
100%.
was. So that was kind of a thing that was
100%.
like, did I really get what was advertised in this title? Not so much.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I really wouldn't disagree with that. As much as I enjoyed, I suppose, the story of it, Wanda going all out to, on her all guns blazing quest to I want my children back and all this business.
Oh,
Never had
Kimba.
children in the first place, Wanda. Felt some chemistry between Strange and Wanda. Sexy magic couple, yes, please. I mean, that is also fair enough.
I
But
mean, when
I,
you
I
see
did
attractive people being attractive together, it's
exactly.
just it's kind of a lot
I
to
I
to
did
handle.
I did enjoy the story we actually got, but like, yeah, it almost felt like Multiverse of Madness.
Yes, which,
Maybe wasn't the
Kimber
perfectly
Morgan
fitting title.
Morgan has not been able to see that yet. He's finally gotten a release date in the UK for that movie, so he can
No,
give a
it
more
is
comparative.
actually out. It did actually come out like this Friday. I just
Okay.
haven't been able to see it this weekend, but
Yes.
I'll probably go
So
next weekend.
so he can make a comparative kind of thought on that once he gets to see. But yeah, it is, I saw Kimber say that earlier as well. It is kind of a misfortune that this movie came out very close to Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I think
Possibly,
did the multiverse thing a little more cohesively and made more sense of it. So, um
possibly, but
so yeah,
how could either movie have known that? That's
exactly.
just happens to be when the movies come out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no. I do agree that I would have liked to see perhaps a little more multiverse jumping, because you really kind of only got 2 universes.
Yeah, and then the
But
scene where they're
I
just kinda
suppose
just
it was,
gliding through a bunch.
yeah, I suppose it was still more of these conversations surrounding the concept of the multiverse, which is in the movie and is gonna obviously continue to be a more used part in the MCU, isn't it? We are now just simply, it seems, quite simply going to be able to go, let's just hop into that universe. Let's just go to Strange and go into that universe. Let's go, America can do it. Let's go and see America to get into that universe. And it's just going to be
Yeah.
a little bit of an easier thing for the general populace of the MCU to now do. So I
Yes.
think that's what this movie does in relation to the multiverse. But I don't want to forget about what I was wanting to say about the fight with the musical notes.
Oh, yes, yes.
Because, oh my God, Kimber, I know in the chat, referenced it before and has been talking about this for a long time. But the relationship of Vincent Price to Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Because Vincent Price would have been the absolute perfect person to play Doctor
Yes,
Strange in the
remember,
60s.
I'd shown you a couple TikToks where somebody cast MCU with classic movie actors,
Yeah,
and Doctor Strange was
it's
always,
it's it's
Vincent Price in
it
those
is
kinds of
perfect.
comparisons.
I'm also led to believe that Doctor Strange's look originally was actually based on Vincent Price when the comics first came out. So, in reference to that scene with the battling musical notes felt so much like Vincent Price versus Boris Karloff in The Raven from 1963 to me, where they're just sat on it's a stupid movie. Peter Lorre's in the corner of this scene getting hammered on wine, while Vincent Price and Boris Karloff in ridiculously garish clothing, in full bright Technicolor, in Roger Corman weirdness. His name is Stephen Vincent Strange. I didn't know that. Fair enough. I just they're playing sorcerers in this movie. Both
Yeah.
of you imagine how stupid this movie is. It's great, but they're just kind of kind of magicking smoke and sparkles in the air, and it's
Yeah.
phenomenally 60s special effects. And they're just going like this to each other, woo doof, and it's just graphicked like those musical notes made it look in
That's so
this
cool.
movie. So the Doctor Strange comparison to Vincent Price there, and just it's feeling like that particular scene in The Raven where they're just kind of
Going
throwing
back.
musical notes at each other and throwing spells at each other.
Yeah,
Felt so much like The Raven from
that's awesome.
1963 to me that I just wanted to go and watch The Raven. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
I like overly excitedly
But
talking about
even
Vincent Price movies.
even kind of Raimi in general, I think his take on horror definitely always reminds me of Vincent Price, because horror, especially older horror, classic horror, always kind of played off the fun of being scared and the
Yeah,
silliness of being scared. So, and Raimi is definitely one of those horror directors that really plays on that. He's less about kind of the terror and more about the fun of being scared and the silliness of it. So anytime I see something horror from Sam Raimi, it always reminds me of Vincent Price, just that style of playing up the fun of horror. Because yeah, Vincent Price was always kind of, silly,
he
with
was.
his depictions
He
of
was.
horror, and always played up the fun of being scared and the fun of terror. So, Sam Raimi always reminds me of that. So, there were definitely a
Yeah,
lot of moments for me as well that evoked that, Vincent Price essence.
Timber arguing for the fun of being scared is how she became friends with me. It is. It is. It is exactly. Mutual love of House on Haunted Hill, which is obviously still one of my very, very favourite movies.
Yes,
It's
love
but
the spook
that
talk.
That the spook talk. That exact reason is why Evil Dead's so good, and it is why people
Mhm.
continually love Evil Dead
So great
and
nod
will
to that
always love Evil Dead.
with Bruce Campbell not being in control of his hands.
I love it. I mean, you knew it was going to be there.
Yeah.
What was Bruce Campbell going to play in this movie? I love how he played someone who got out of control of his hands because yes, this is exactly what Bruce Campbell should be doing. It's just a shame that he ended up continually punching himself rather than strangling himself, which maybe they weren't allowed to do. Tom's referencing the end credit scene, which, yes, of course, I always stay for in MCU
Yes,
movies.
people were a
I
bit
love it.
disappointed, but I was happy because,
It makes total sense. It's as stupid as that Captain America one where he's giving that moral, educational talk and saying, "You've wasted all your time and all this business."
oh my
Do you
gosh.
remember that?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, Kimber,
Please.
if we've got the time, if we can make it work, I'm not saying no.
I would love
I'm
that.
absolutely not saying no. I to be perfectly honest with you, as far as a horror podcast go, I don't think there's anybody I'd rather do a horror podcast with than you.
That would be
So,
awesome.
I
I
mean,
would love it.
that might Janine might be offended at that, but I hope she understands my reasoning.
No, I totally understand. I love horror, but not like y'all love horror. Like, I don't know it to that deep of an extent like you two. And I love listening to you talk about horror, the two of you. So I would definitely be down to listen to that.
Over enthusiastic celebration of the Raven from 1963. That Captain America one had shades of the Ferris Bueller post-credit scene, says Justin Square. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And
Yes.
that's why I like that one. And those kind of sillier end credits scenes, I think it's always like that, isn't it? The mid-credit scene is always the semi-important one. And the end
Yeah.
credit scene is either just something fun or some sort of teased, some sort of vaguer tease, isn't it?
Yes.
Or more vague tease.
And it also plays into the idea of this one kind of being a more standalone thing that it can exist. Like
Yeah,
you have that tangential knowledge of like what's happening around that movie, but wholly it's kind of its own thing.
it is actually because it doesn't. I mean, yes, it has wonder in it, but it doesn't bring in swaths of casts of people from other movies,
Yes.
does it? I suppose because we don't necessarily. Everybody is quite separate in Phase 4, aren't they?
Yeah.
Everybody is kind of really on their own, dealing with their own mental states, basically. That's kind of what Phase 4 seems to be. And
Everyone figuring out their post blip shit,
yeah,
essentially.
their purpose,
Yeah,
their
Falcon and Winter
mental
Soldier
state.
is kind of like them getting their bearings, Wanda and WandaVision, and now this movie figuring out like
Yeah.
life
Well,
and what to do
you
with
think about
themselves and
everything. Think of even Loki, especially
Mhm.
Hawkeye, Moon Knight. It's all very.
Them post blip
cl-
situations and,
It's all about clearing your own head, almost, isn't it?
yeah.
Finding your own self and that kind of situation. Even Yelena in Black Widow
Yeah.
is kind of about finding your own self.
Yeah.
Even Peter Parker, after going through his old stuff, he has to be his own separate person now.
Yeah, we find out that these first 2 movies, these were his origin story, you know?
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
And after that, we are led to believe that Peter Parker's probably going to run into Harry Osborn somewhere, and that's all going to kick off from there with the Goblin, probably.
Yes, perhaps. Oh, we need to talk a little bit about Wong, I think.
Wong, yes,
He
Wong.
was
We
a
love
bit of a
Benedict Wong.
badass in this movie, and maybe he had a lady friend.
He did. He
Because,
definitely
I
did.
did obviously, I always go and run to my New Rock Stars, breakdowns after I watch these movies, and they kind of give me all the inside stuff that I maybe didn't know or didn't really understand, and yes, that character actually was a love interest of Wong in the comics, I believe. the name they give her. I
Okay.
think Sarah or whatever her name was.
Yeah.
So yeah, the little hand on the face
Unfortunately,
implication.
she turns into a rock.
But she does what needs to be done for the,
She does.
sacrificing herself. So it just shows she's a good sorceress. So yeah, Wong was a badass killing those big Wanda
Wong
ogre
is
things. And
Wong is Wong's underrated as a powerful character, I
yeah,
think.
when he comes in to fight that octopus thing, yeah.
Right? Wong is
Mhm.
just he is a badass. And also Benedict Wong is from Manchester, so we all love Benedict Wong.
And he is great at his accent.
He is very good at his
Like, he's
accent.
not doing an American accent. He's not covering a British accent with an American accent.
Considering he sounds fairly close to my accent in real life.
Yeah.
Fairly close. He does do a very, very good job with keeping his accent. He is the Sorcerer Supreme for a reason, Brandon. Wong is great.
Yes, and I
And
love
he's
the whole little
yes,
running joke of the bow. I thought that was fun.
the bow, yeah. He is he does sometimes feel like he is kind of just there to play off Strange.
Yeah,
But
but he had some
you do
moments
see
here.
him do his own thing in particularly fight scenes.
Yeah,
He does get quite a lot of his own badassery to do. It's just kind of character moments. You get very little of him when he's not
yeah,
directly talking to Strange, which is a shame. I don't necessarily think we'll ever get kind of too much just with Wong. You know, I would think something like a Wong TV show might be out of the question, but who knows?
yeah. I mean, he had some really strong moments. Though probably the strongest moments we've seen him have. Like, I feel like he was more interesting in this movie than he was in the first Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
And we saw him
and
getting to
he
fight
has.
more and be a badass, and he was actually like a competent, really well, like, he kind of ended up being default Sorcerer Supreme because Strange was blipped for 5 years, but he actually is
Yeah,
doing the job and, like, bringing, the Sanctum together. Like, they were holding off Wanda pretty well until she started playing mind games. So,
yeah.
he's a great commander and, a great fighter and, takes care of everybody, and yeah, I thought he was great in this movie.
Marie also loves Wong. There, Wong is wonderful. Wonderful Wong, we'll call him.
Yes.
Wonderful Wong.
Um,
Brandon says his
Justin.
entrance was like an Avengers entrance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of was. It was kind of like,
Just
here
rolling
he is to
in.
save the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, Justin just kinda speaks onto what we were talking about with the phases. The way I see it at the end, phase 3 was Kevin Feige calling checkmate after playing a 10-year-long game of chess. Phase 4 is resetting the board for a new game. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. We are not at this point. We are almost moving down, aren't we, as opposed to or coming down from a high rather than
Yeah.
moving back up. We're not moving back up yet. We're
Yeah.
still in the processing stage. And the characters are. That's the whole point. This whole phase is characters processing their own mental states
Yeah.
before we start to see team ups start to happen again. And you think about it, the amount of content you get, that stuff is going to happen way quicker now than it did do 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to happen way quicker. Something that took 5 years is now going to take a year and a half.
Yeah.
Probably. You know, the amount of stuff we get. And the TV helps with that, really, doesn't it? Introducing so
Yeah.
many
It
things.
gives you time to kinda breathe with characters and get to know characters more than we've could in a movie,
Yeah, because
more
it's
context to
not too
things.
many. It's only a couple of weeks off until the Miss Marvel show,
Yeah, like, in a
isn't it?
movie, I don't think we would have had time to sit with Sam in a bank and see him still get, like, lauded as the
No.
superhero, but not being able to get alone to help his
No,
family.
not at all.
You know, we wouldn't have been able to sit with a storyline like that, or him getting pulled over by the police and having that be a whole situation, or sitting down with, the original super soldier guy and hear about from him. and
Yeah.
and we wouldn't have been able to sit with any of that in a movie. There wouldn't have been time to let any of the stories like that breathe. Kind of see
I
where
forget
Clint
how
is.
good Falcon and Winter Soldier actually was.
Yes, they really tackled some serious issues and drama and intensity and smart things, and all
I
of
think,
uh, um Bucky's trauma from having to kill
yeah.
people and being aware of it but out of control, and you know
I think because the kind of MCU shows that followed it have been kind of out there, like almost all of them. Even Hawkeye was very specifically kind of unique because it was all Christmas themed and
yeah.
kind of funny a lot of the time. And you got obviously like Fisk in that, who was a big, huge, took over everybody's minds. Uh, it took over our
Yeah,
conversations kind of situation. Stuff like Loki, stuff like Moon Knight in particular,
more
you
high
just get weirder
concept.
and weirder.
Yeah, and you get more high concept universe stuff. I think ho Falcon and Winter Soldier felt more grounded in a way, like you're dealing with
Yes, it did.
nothing too fantastical. I mean, aside from a super soldier element, you're still dealing with real
Yeah.
people and real feelings and real world situations that you see in our world. So, yeah, I think people forget that really kind of went into some really deep
And
things. And so, yeah, the
you
shows definitely
also
help flesh
forget
out these things so these movies can kind of show the bigger picture, and then we can get these little nuggets of information from the shows.
until you're reminded who opened the multiverse in the first place. Stupid Loki in
Yes.
Kang's little. Oh, he's not called Kang yet, is he? What was his name? He's not technically called Kang in the universe yet, is he?
And isn't he a Richards? He's somehow related to Reed Richards or something. Something
Is
about
he?
like
I
that.
don't. That's a Tom
Tom, where are you?
question. Tom. But yeah, you forget until you think about it that it was actually Loki in that weird end of the universe
Yeah,
thing that
and I
Kang
saw an
had.
interview. I saw an interview with Kevin
He who
Feige, and
remains. Thank you, Brandon.
he is breaking that down. He's like, well, he said just what you said, who opened it, Loki. And then that leads into, Spider-Man meddling and da, 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 da.
Yeah,
And then that leads into, so like he has a whole plan for like where this is going. And yes,
it's
thank you,
it's it's
Brandon. Thank you.
Nathaniel Richards.
Yeah, so I believe in like he's a variant son of Reed Richards or something, or I don't know if I'm remembering that wrong, so don't quote me on that. But
But is it John Krasinski Reed Richards? Is it Ian Griffith Reed Richards? Is it somebody new Reed Richards? Who knows?
yeah. Um,
I am
so
kind of more inclined to believe that we kind of mentioned before that I can't remember who it was in the chat who mentioned it actually, that they cast John Krasinski as Reed in this movie for the fan casting reason, and it will just be somebody else as the main Reed Richards. I almost like that better
yeah,
because
I think
it
Kimber
gets
said that.
it gets the everybody getting excited business over and done with.
Yeah,
And
and now we can kind
we
of do
we
what
can
we
just actually
planned to
deal with
do.
what the movie might be like. Fantastic Four.
Yes.
Fantastic Four. I like it. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, is there anything else we want to talk about with the movie? Surely there's plenty of other things. Anything else people want us to talk about in the chat? Points you guys want to bring up?
I mean,
Distant descendant from the
I liked
31st century. It's all getting a bit too high and confusing for Morgan's brain. I have to keep my multiverses
I know.
simplistic.
Wait till Quantumania comes out. You're gonna be screwed.
Oh God, yeah. That actually has Kang in it, doesn't it? So
Yes.
that's next
Um,
year. That's next year.
yes. Well, I did like the idea. Like, I like that people were kind of trying to put in Wanda's head to stop her. That like, isn't it enough knowing that your kids are at least out there somewhere being loved and taken care of? So I liked seeing that there's, after the heartbreaking ending of WandaVision and seeing what she's lost. I loved that there was, like, for me watching it, I love that there was Wandas out there who had those boys and were be able to love them and take care of them and be with them. So yeah, very heartbreaking to kind of see her want that and see somebody else getting to kind of live that out. But also
Kimber wants 3 Paul Rudds to go with her, 3 Benedict Cumberbatches, and 3 Oscar Isaacs,
she's just like a
and
collector.
3 Elizabeth Olsens. Tom wants
That's
3
like
Baba Yagas. That's a bit
you guys
less
sound like you're
sexy.
collecting Happy Meal toys. I remember when they had like Pocahontas Happy Meal toys, and I was always trying to get Pocahontas, but I would get like I had 1 John Smith, I had like 4 Governor Ratcliffes. And
I just want a
I just want a
Pocahontas.
Pocahontas. Yeah, I had like 10 billion Governor Ratcliffes and like 1 John Smith, and all I wanted
You should have
was a
asked them,
Pocahontas.
can I have specifically a
So
Pocahontas
just
one,
her
please?
talking about like I want all of these versions of these men. It just reminds me of collecting all these Happy Meal toys and just getting a bunch of the same ones that I don't want. Yes.
I imagine you just opening it, sit there with your little Happy Meal box going, oh, I'm so excited, what have I got? Governor
Governor
Radcliffe.
Radcliffe. Yes.
And throw it at the wall.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
And ladies, Gibby, yes, let's
Yes.
not forget
Yes.
about Wanda. Oh, there's a question actually. There's a query for people. Now, White Vision.
Yes, he's out there.
Where's he? Where's he at? He's out there. He actually
Yes.
exists.
And
He's
he
not
had
actually
other
dead.
vision give him some profound things to think about. So I don't know.
You know, he is the now actually alive version of Vision. I use alive because he's Vision alive. What is Vision? Is he synthezoid, whatever you want to call him? But should he have been in this movie? Wanda's in
Should
the
she have
movie.
been thinking about him, or I
Should
mean,
she?
he's
Exactly.
mentioned, yeah.
Where is he going to show up next if it wasn't in this movie? Where's Wanda gonna show up next?
Yes,
Wanda
because I
seems totally
believe.
like I want to do. I'm going. I'm
Well, she
away.
crushed herself in her throne palace place, but I believe I heard that Elizabeth Olsen has signed like a 7-picture deal with
Yeah,
Marvel.
Wanda
So
ain't.
yeah, this
Wanda
is
ain't
not the
dead.
last we're gonna see of
This
her.
ain't the last. No.
So yeah, that is a good question. Where is White Vision going to pop up next?
Secret Wars,
Yes.
says
Oh
Tom, which
yes.
is
Mhm.
likely. Although I know absolutely diddly squat about Secret Wars, has it not got something to do with the Skrulls, or is that Secret Invasion?
Yeah, Secret Invasion is a thing.
That's Secret Invasion. Oh dear.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Yeah.
So Secret Wars isn't the Nick Fury Skrull one. That's Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
Right.
And then isn't there a whole nother series also happening like with the what's her face and like the power broker stuff and all of that? Sharon Carter and
Oh, Sharon Carter's got a series.
isn't that happening with like
Zemo.
armor
Zemo back?
something?
Did Zemo die? I don't
No.
remember. So
Zemo
much has
didn't-
happened.
I know. Zemo did not die.
What's happened to Zemo? Is he locked back up? I don't even
Yes,
remotely
Armor
remember.
Wars. So there's Armor Wars as well, which I think is
Armor Wars?
dealing with the power broker and all of that stuff. So I don't know. There's too many things.
Armor Wars?
Yeah.
It's Iron Man, Falcon, and Winter Soldier.
I
Armor
think it
Wars
has
with Rhodey.
yes, yes.
Don Cheadle's 70-odd-year-old now, though. So, I mean, he's
Is
so
really?
old. Don Cheadle is not
Oh
a
yeah,
young man.
isn't there that interview? That interview with what's his face? Oh my god, what's his name?
I don't know who you're talking about. Don Cheadle.
No. Oh my gosh, what's his name? He's a really short comedian. He's always doing
Kevin
movies with The
Hart.
Rock. Kevin Hart, he does an interview with Don Cheadle, and Don Cheadle's like, "Oh yeah, I'm like 56," and he's like, "Damn!" And Don Cheadle's like, looks at him like, "Bitch." Like he has this very strong reaction to hearing how old Don Cheadle is. And Don Cheadle gets very offended. He says he's like 50 something or 60 something. And Kevin Hart goes, "Damn!" like really loud. And Don Cheadle like looks and glares at him like, "Bitch."
You know what?
So yes, he is up there. So I don't
I am
know.
in love with the chat today, by the way. I really am. Such helpful information.
Yes.
Tom says Zemo is at the raft with Abomination, setting up Thunderbolts. What's Thunderbolts?
Well, I don't know what they're gonna happen now with William
Yes,
Hurt
William
passing
Hurt has
away.
passed away.
Yeah.
But what is
Are they gonna
Thunderbolts? Is that
replace
an
him
announced
with
thing?
his variant Sam Elliott, who played that
They
same
could do
character
that.
in Hulk?
They could do that.
And he played it in the Hulk. In Hulk. So
We did. We did.
he
He
did.
is.
Yeah.
Yes. It's Marvel Suicides. Ah. Oh. I mean,
Yeah,
do you know
see.
what? Do you know what? Brandon brings it up as well. Bringing Sam Elliott in as a, I mean, look,
Yeah, he
you'd have
does
to honor
he
William.
turns into Red Hulk. Yeah.
You would have to honor William Hurt to a degree, of course, wouldn't you? You know, for playing Thunderbolt Ross. But that is definitely a way you could bring Thunderbolt. You could still have Thunderbolt Ross in.
Yeah, because technically you're bringing in an actor who's played him before, and yeah.
Yeah, I always remember I was terrified of Sam Elliott in that movie as well. He was so harsh and horrible.
Yes, I just didn't like the frog exploding, and they showed it
Well,
several
what a
times.
surprise.
So
They
gross.
did show it several times. Yes, they did. And
Rick
Armor
Nolte.
Wars.
Yeah.
Armor Wars is about Tony Stark's tech failing in the wrong hands. So Armor Wars is so that's the one with Power Broker, Sharon Carter, Rhodey, probably.
Yeah, I think that's what I heard.
Probably
And then
Falcon coming back.
Secret
Or Captain America
Invasion.
coming back in.
Secret Invasion is the Skrull stuff.
Secret
right?
Invasion is the Skrull. Secret Wars is likely going to be the big event situation.
Okay, that leads to Secret Invasion. Because all of these things have been announced.
Oh, no. Secret Invasion comes before. I think Secret Wars. I think Secret Invasion is the TV show. I think Secret Wars is going to be a movie.
Okay.
Like
so much.
Years away.
Oh my god.
We're not having David Hasselhoff. Go away.
I mean, he did the movie. He did a TV movie where he was Nick Fury.
I refuse
before the
David
comic
Hasselhoff.
book, because before the comic books drew him looking like Sam Jackson.
David Hasselhoff.
Yeah, Nick Fury was a white man.
I know Nick Fury was a white man. I'm aware of that. Secret Wars is very different from Secret Invasion. Yes, apparently it is, Brandon. Apparently it is.
Yes, we're all confused. It's fine.
We are all.
Thank you guys for helping us. Thank you. Yes. Let's also Western Ghost Rider caretaker, and it's Ghost Rider.
But let's also.
I love how he says guns. So good.
Let's also remember just how much other things we haven't even mentioned. She-Hulk.
Oh yes, we actually got like a little sneak peek, like footage of that.
Did we? I haven't.
With Mark Ruffalo, yes.
Oh, okay. Blade. Where does Blade fit in? Where does Blade fit in? And where is I want more Kit Harington from Eternals.
Yes, and
I liked Eternals. You all can shut up. Apparently, Eternals getting a lot of hate. I like Eternals.
It was a little too artsy for people.
I really do. I like it a lot.
Harry Styles. You didn't like Harry Styles.
I didn't really care for the fact that Harry Styles is What else is there? There's so much.
There's a lot.
Ultimate actually bought the Samuel L. Jackson likeness to Nick Fury. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because they wrote a line in one of the comics. They're like, "Who would you want to play you in a movie?" And he says Sam Jackson.
Miss Marvel is next, yes, and that is early June, isn't it? So we don't
Yes,
have
and then we
a
have the
lot
Marvels
of time.
movie as well that's been
Oh
announced
God, yeah, I
with
forgot about
3
that.
of
That's what
them.
I've forgotten. So
So it's
that is
Monica, it's gonna be the
oh
girl, the young girl in the
Monica,
show, Monica,
Monica.
and, Captain Marvel,
Yes, Monica. That's
and
right.
Carol Danvers.
Yes. Who's missing? Who's
Hmm.
missing who we haven't
Seen
Where are
in a
they at?
minute or done anything
Oh,
or
let's not forget about Wakanda Forever
Oh,
as well,
yes,
and
mhm.
Thor. Oh dear, and
Yeah, so
Guardians of
Thor
the
is
Galaxy
next,
Volume
yes.
3. There's
Which, I
too
don't
much.
know, Dave Bautista put a whole thing like this was his last movie.
He'd be dead.
So he be dead,
He he'd be dying.
X-Men 97 is coming out, yes. Yes, they announced that. So who knows? It's gonna be under the Disney banner now, so we'll see. And I think it's got the same writers who I still love that you guys had a conversation with them and did that whole interview with them. I'm really curious. I keep wanting to ask them on Twitter, like, "So, have you seen Doctor Strange yet?" So they can see like their reaction to the X-Men Professor X from their show. But obviously I didn't want to like be spoilery yet, so I'm kind of waiting to ask them on Twitter. But
No, we're allowed to be
yes.
spoilery here,
Yes.
as this is very clearly signposted,
Yes.
but nowhere else, not publicly. I don't like being spoilery publicly. Generally, Eric and Julia, yes.
Yes, they're great.
Is there anything else? Multiverse of Madness related, future or close upcoming MCU related? There is a phenomenal amount of MCU on the way, very very soon.
Yes, we
Like
are coming
too
at an
much.
influx. I wanna see Monica. I'm excited to see her.
I like Monica. I like
Yes.
Monica
I'm
Rambeau.
really excited to see her, like, be full powered and suited and because I love Tiana
Booted as
Paris.
well, suited and
Suited and
booted.
booted, yes. I love Tiana Paris. I love, POC women who look like me, really getting a shining moment, a shiny, glowy moment, literally. So,
Yes, she does
I'm
shine
excited.
and glow.
Yes.
She does. Thank you, Galaxy Geeks, for
Thank
popping in.
you for
Thank you
popping
for showing love there.
in.
Um, yeah, it's Tom also says cool to see what future New York City will be like with no snap. Yeah, I mean obviously New York is going to be pretty central. I mean it was anyway, wasn't it? But it seems you're either in cosmic multiverse craziness or you're in New York. One
Yeah.
or the other. Do you think Universe 838 had Strange the musical? I frankly despised Rogers the musical. It can get out of my face. Oh God, it was the
You
most
weren't a
horrendous
fan.
thing.
You would take out your
Look,
hearing aids too.
I like musicals. I do. But I could not for the life of me with Rogers the musical from Hawkeye. It was the most vomit-inducing thing. Justin wants to know why Monica has a beef with Captain Marvel.
I
Because
wanna know that too.
I think
She
there'll
feels like
be a
she
whole kind
abandoned
of
her and her
situation of
mother. Like, her mother got
there's a mother
cancer.
situation.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, like, her mother maybe got cancer, and she was too busy doing other things that she just forgot about them.
Yeah, I
But
can do this all day as a song. Get out of my face. I can do this all day. I like how
oh,
Captain
Captain
Carter said I
Carter
can do
said that,
this all
"Oh,
day.
I could do this all day," and then she, like, wipes the blood off her face.
I
Yeah,
like that. I like
so
that.
good.
I missed it. Do you know what, Janine? It made me realize that one little scene made me realize that I want more Captain Carters
I
because
like
this
she
one
had
might be
her
dead,
little
but you can have the other
jetpack.
one,
She had her little rocket
right?
pack, like the Rocketeer. It was so
Like,
cool.
yes, this Captain Carter might be dead, but we can just have another one now. We can just have
Yes.
another one.
Yes.
I want more Captain Carters because, and I also, frankly, want more Sam Wilson Captain America because
Yeah,
I
I
miss
think that's
somebody with a
probably
shield.
yeah, that definitely could be an issue, a
Captain
reason.
Marvel could have found a cure for cancer if she was around to know Monica was even sick. but she wasn't
Maria.
around.
Maria was sick.
Maria.
Yeah.
But she wasn't around. She was twiddling off up here somewhere.
Yes.
And she didn't. They needed one of those beeper things. They needed one of those
Yeah,
things
we
that
need
Nick
one of
Fury had.
the space.
Please call Carol.
Yes.
Carol on the way. That's all they needed. But yeah, I miss people throwing shields around and blocking things, and I miss Steve Rogers.
Doing kick flips and
I fully miss. I miss Steve Rogers, but I also just anybody. Sam can do it. You know,
yeah,
have
we have a
Anthony
Captain
Mackie do it. It
America.
doesn't matter. Just I
And he
want
can
someone
fly.
throwing a shield around.
Yes. So we have so much
Oh.
great MCU upcoming. I love what Marvel, good, bad, mediocre. There's still something to love in all of this media.
There is.
The creativity behind just doing what they've done. It's unprecedented. So the people who write it off as it's just some blockbuster bullshit. No, this is like a well thought out, oiled machine. It is, but it's a well thought out plan. Like no other studio, movie series, franchise has ever attempted anything like this. Like these are like living comics where the stories are evolving and changing and growing and phases and characters, and it's a big deal. I think it's a really smart thing in film and a big deal in film what they've been able to do with media and bringing comic books to life in the way they've done and having all these interconnecting stories. Like it's unprecedented. It's genius. So
and certainly now with, like you said, the influx of stuff we are going to get, it's totally taking over. But the fact of the matter is, we love it. Kimmer wants 3 Hayley Atwells as well. There's a point when it just becomes greedy, Kimmer.
Yeah.
There's a point when it just becomes greedy. More Hayley Atwell in the MCU is never a bad thing. I always love it when she shows up, especially when you don't expect it, like in Ant-Man. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And Hayley Atwell clearly would be more than willing to just Captain Carter wander back in every now and again.
Yes.
And I think she should.
Best oh my gosh!
2.5 Hayley Atwells.
Oh, that was harsh. But bravo.
Kimber, do you want the top half or the bottom half of one of your Hayley Atwells? What do you prefer?
Did I say green?
Oh, for goodness sake. Many have attempted what the MCU has been able to do and haven't been able to. And it comes down to meticulous planning.
Yes, it's a great feat. And I think they should, whether you like these movies or not, I think that warrants some respect in the filmmaking world for what they've been able to do, what they're trying to do. So yeah, I'm excited.
Especially when they can still throw out interesting weird movies like Multiverse of Madness and interesting weird TV shows like Moon Knight.
Yes, definitely.
Not everything is as paint by numbers as it may seem.
Yes,
some of them are.
There are some nuanced things, especially when they give the creators behind these things the room to breathe and tell these stories, and they could really tackle some poignant and topical and intelligent world relatable based things. So yeah, I'm really
I just wish
excited
sometimes they do it. I do just wish sometimes they would do it in a more kind of in a less child friendly fashion.
Yeah, I mean that's why I think I like
more nastiness.
I think that's why I liked Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think that was kind of the most serious and less child friendly. Particularly.
And I hope they do that with. It doesn't have to be everything, but certainly with some things that it feels more relevant to.
Well, even Moon Knight too, I think got a little risque with some things that weren't.
Yeah, it did. It did, and I appreciate that. I do.
Yeah. So MCU's.
But I mean, even just make some things R-rated. Just it always feels more realistic.
Well, maybe Deadpool can sneak in there and make that happen. We'll see.
Quite possibly. quite possibly. But even stuff like Blade really should be
Yeah.
gory as hell, and I just
Mm-hmm.
fear that it's not going to be, because it just should be.
Yeah.
You know, I want Mahershala Ali's Blade to be as gory as Wesley Snipes' Blade, but obviously for the blood to actually look like blood this
Not
time,
like CGI.
and not some weird gloop that they've put on a computer screen.
Yeah.
You know, I need that from that. I need
Yeah.
that from that.
So we'll see.
But yeah,
We got this movie gave us a little preview of the Fox merger and what we could get now that they have everything
it
and
did. To
everyone.
be fair, it did.
So everyone is home, essentially.
It
So
did. I mean, you are right actually in saying that this is the first MCU property where the Fox merger has actually
shown
been
itself.
shown.
Yeah, I think so.
It is, isn't it? This is the first thing we've seen of any direct mutant or Fantastic Four.
Yes, in the MCU. So I think that this open. I think, and if anything
Nice.
else, I think this was just to kind of open the door to that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and it has
them
done.
getting-
And it has done.
Yes.
More to come.
So I'm excited. I'm very excited to see where all this goes and what happens in this movie. I think laid some real groundwork for what's to come, and I'm super excited. So
Yes, and you know we will be here, or we will certainly at least want to be here, doing live discussions, full spoiler things, with a bunch of wonderful people that have been in the chat
yes,
today.
thank you all for stopping
Such a
by
good
and
chat
hanging out
today.
with us. This was a really great chat. We will be back with more of these. I'm going to force Morgan to watch some big movies that he maybe doesn't want to see so we can have some more fun discussions. Like ones with big stupid dinosaurs and
I like Jurassic Park. I'm not watching Jurassic
Park. We'll see.
I'm
But
not
anyway.
watching Jurassic World. Jurassic Park's great. I'm not watching the World one. Stupid.
We'll see
Chris
about
Pratt.
that. We'll see about that. But
we should set up Streamlabs so we can tip you. I'm
yes,
I
I'm
mean, we
working
have
on
the
it.
patron, don't
I
we?
have a Streamlabs, but it's not even like when I set it up, I tried to make it like, you know, a name of the channel or a name of me, and it like made it just a bunch of weird random numbers and stuff. Like it didn't
We
actually.
try. We're
So
trying.
so we're
to
working
do
on
things.
it. We're working
We're
on
trying
it.
to do things. What was that? What was I going to say there? We do have the Patreon. We do have the Patreon. If you would like to support us in that way, patreon.com/It's a Wonderful One, or just type It's a Wonderful Podcast into Patreon and find the tier that is right for you, because we have a whole bunch of stuff there.
Yes.
That is fun and nice, and is a way of supporting us if you are hugely generous and would like to support us in that way. You do already do that, but I'm talking generally. Kimber. I'm talking generally to the world at large. If you would like to do, you watching, you listening to this would like to do that, it is there to do. Where we mainly live, though, we of course have this YouTube channel here. It's a Wonderful Podcast on YouTube that you can subscribe to and ding your notification bells on if you haven't already. But we mainly live on the It's a Wonderful podcast feed, which you can find on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Amazon Music, and everywhere else as well. Where at the moment we still have shows every Wednesday and Friday. Morgan hasn't seen, and It's a Wonderful Podcast, the main show. Wednesdays, Janine forces me to watch things I haven't seen.
I do, and it's so fun.
Fairly simple concept there, but it's always a fun time. And on the main show is where we celebrate old movies. We discover new old movies. We show love to old movies because we don't see enough love for them. And we want to be a voice, as little as it may be. We want to be a voice for those old movies. Spook Talk. What on earth was that?
That is the Streamlabs link.
That is.
I don't know why it.
What is that that's
so
gone in the
crazy.
chat? I'm just going to put this on screen for people that can't see it. Janine's just put that into the chat. And I can't tell what the hell. I think she's
It's
gone
supposed
insane.
to be the Streamlabs link because I made a Streamlabs a long time ago, and that is the link for it.
Kimber says spook talk coming soon. Well, I'm let's talk, Kimber. Let's talk. I can tell
Yes.
you what is coming soon is a brand new show on a Monday for the It's a Wonderful podcast feed. Machine Mondays with yourself, Janine, had a great run.
Yes. It
Had a
did.
great run, but it came to a justifiable and an understandable end from yourself. But very, very soon we will be back with a Monday show. Keep an eye out for announcements relating to that because it is happening very, very, very soon and might be on this YouTube channel as well. We may very well be delving into not just audio podcasts, but actually having video for them as well.
Because everybody's been complaining that we don't show our faces for a podcast. So
Justin, as a relation, as far as Janine hasn't seen, there was one. I think it might have been last August for your birthday month. Was a Janine hasn't seen, and I would like to do one again this year.
yes.
The Streamlabs link looks like an April Fool's joke. It does.
I don't when I look at it, it looks like a normal link. And then when I go to copy and paste it, that's what it pasted. So I don't know.
It's very strange. We will figure this kind of thing.
We will.
Figure
I
this kind of
tried.
thing
We'll
out.
figure it out. We'll figure it out.
But all I will say is do keep an eye out for announcements relating to a new Monday show that I will not reveal full titles or details of yet, but we will be back very soon to 3 shows a week on the It's a Wonderful podcast feed. You can find the show on Twitter at It's a Wonderful One. Find myself on Twitter at The Purple Don with a 3 instead of the E in there because, Janine.
3 is the magic number.
On Instagram at just The Purple Don. All your madness stuff, multiversal stuff is where.
You can find me at Janine Devine _ on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at G9 Design if you want to get any merch for any of our shows on TeePublic. And if you want to purchase any of my art in print form, you can find that at my Big Cartel shop, g9design.bigcartel.com.
Well, I think there we go. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying to chat with us today.
Yes,
really,
this was a
really great
really fun
interactive discussion.
Yes.
I love this. I love it when we can do these things, get a good load of interaction going on in the chat. It makes everything 14 times better. It's fun, but it's more fun when it's like this.
Yes.
So we really appreciate you guys for being here and adding so much to our lovely little spoiler discussion on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness today. I do think, Janine, there is only one thing left to do, though. So let's count down and shout the word bye.
3, 2, 1.
Bye.
Bye.